Grace, that's amazing, a name worth praising. Your love leaves me gazing, it's incredible. The price that you paid, the sacrifices that you made, all for my soul to save. All I can say is incredible. 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 All I can say.
Hi, and welcome back to Life from Studio D.O.C. I am the host, Dr. Honeycutt, and I want to thank everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. And with me, I have my lovely co-host.
Thank you.
Hi, Lisa.
How are you doing, Dr. Honeycutt?
I'm doing well. I think that since the last time I saw you, I went to a school. Yeah, I spoke at a school.
Going to school.
It was so exciting. It was Crown Point Elementary. And I wanted to do this before I forget. I wanted to give them a shout out, the fifth graders. Yep. Shout out to the fifth graders at Crown Point Elementary for having me. I got to speak to a lot of fifth graders. It was their career day. And I had them to guess what I was. You know, I was like, can you guess my profession? I was like, be nice. Because, you know, fifth graders, they're honest.
What were the guesses?
Oh, man, they were really nice. A lot of them said, you do hair, or you're a model, you're a scientist. So really good things. Yeah, so excited about that. So how have you been?
I'm doing great, And I'm excited about tonight's guest. Speaking of careers, he's got a great story.
He does have a great story, and it's a story that everybody wants to talk about. It's about tax preparing, how to get that money. They want to get that money.
That's right.
So tonight we have, our guest is Ron McClinton. He's a CPA here in Charlotte, and we want to thank you for joining Life from Studio D.O.C.
Thank you for having me.
Wow, so tell me just a little bit about who Ron McClinton is.
He's a very interesting fellow.
We want to hear.
I started out a graduate of West Charlotte. Started out getting a job at a major corporation for a chemical firm, which they in turn sent me to school to become a chemist, almost in the field you were. In the textile industry disbanded, so I had all this math background, so I went and took some more courses at Central Peak Mountain in taxation and accounting. And then I attended Brookstone College of Business, and I did some continuing education at UNC Charlotte. So that's my background.
So when everybody think about tax preparing, they only think about tax season. Now, do you do business all year round? Are you open?
Do, and my software provider, we still do a lot of work. Totally year round.
Totally year round. So are you, just tell us a little bit about the services that you offer.
Bookkeeping. I used to do payroll back in the day. It's too much work. They have programs a lot simpler now of companies who can process that information a lot sooner than me and a lot quicker. So with that being said, accounting, for small businesses or large corporations or self-employed people or daycares, you just kind of name it. I touch on it a little bit at all. S-corps, limited liability companies, so there's a lot of stuff to know.
What's the most important thing that our viewers need to know as they get ready for tax season? A lot of times people ask questions about how long should I keep a document? And when will I have all of my papers? Tell us about some of the most important documents that they need before they come to you to have their taxes prepared.
I always tell them try to keep a good filing system. That don't always happen, but stuff like your mortgage interest statement, charitable contributions, even if you pay union dues, real estate taxes, it's a slew of medical bills, to and from doctors, dental bills. Your W-2s, your 1099s, if IRA money that you may have say you forgot and didn't forget, you just don't want to put it on your taxes, which that happens a lot. So it's just a array of things. But I always tell my clients, just bring it on and I'll sort through it. Let me, let you pay me to do it. So.
See, a lot of people don't understand how this tax thing goes. They think that they can deduct everything that they have spent for the year. Like, make it known that one doctor's visit is not going to make a difference. Let them know. One doctor's visit is not going to make a difference. And just other things like they want to take their grocery bills and, they want to take that. They want to do like that. How about mileage to and from work?
Only if you're a self-employed individual.
Only if you're a self-employed?
Self-employed individual, like myself.
Okay. So tell us about being self-employed and some of the forms that you have to file to, for being self-employed.
For most sole proprietors, which that's basically what I am, it's a form, Schedule C form.
Yes.
For a limited liability company, you can use a Schedule C form for those type of small businesses. And then you start getting the S Corps and some of the 990 forms. Now you're talking about nonprofit organizations. You're also talking about S Corp form, which is a whole new different monster. Your deadlines changes, a lot of information has to be submitted by a specific time.
So how do you keep up with all these laws and changes that's going on?
I do webinars through my software provider, which is one of the largest software providers in the country. And a lot of major accounting firms use it, and I use them too. They're open year-round. We get continuing education credits by doing webinars. They'll submit that information once I complete the course. They'll submit that information to the IRS through their website. So that keeps me up abreast on whatever's going on out there. And also, I'm a member of the North Carolina Society of Accountants. We meet monthly, and it's all, some CPAs, some are just accountants, or some are just tax preparers, which is a little different animal. So we meet every month and talk about any kind of laws changing from federal, state, and local level.
So you're really on top of it as far as the rules changing and the laws, and you're asking your clients to come to you with anything that they have that looks like a tax form,
Right.
and just let you sort through it. What are the deadlines? When should somebody first make their appointment with you? What does the tax year kind of look like?
Looks great for me. Anyway, but we normally start up January the 15th. We'll go live and we'll start processing returns. Actually, I start before then because if a lot of people can go online now and get their W-2s, so what I'll do, I can start prepping them as of whenever they get them before the actual filing season. So I'll prep them and I'll submit them and they'll put them in a holding bank until the 15th, and everything will go on that particular day.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So what are some of the most popular forms that you do, like just on a daily, basis with taxes?
The 1040A, the 1040, Schedule C's, a lot of Schedule D's, 1099 miscellaneous income type forms, which is informational form, and it's basically a form that you're really a self-employed person working under a subcontract, if I'm saying that right, somewhere like that, and you're responsible for the taxes on that form, which is not a bad thing because if you do receive a 1099, you can write off some of the expenses I had alluded to earlier, like meals, telephone, clothing, or just whatever's entertainment, if you're an entertainer, whatever pertaining to your particular business.
Well, one of the things I heard you say at the very beginning, and I really appreciate, was keep a good filing system. So what's a key to success there? Is there any, do you have a recommended filing system?
I always offer my clients a form on stuff that's deductible and to not throw away. Some fill it out and be more prepared when they come. And if not, I'll just say, well, just put it in the folder and come on.
Is that folder like that thick?
Yeah, I've seen shoe boxes. Now I will go through your shoe box, but you're gonna pay me.
But you're going to pay. That's right. That's right. This
So
costs a little
better
extra.
you take that home and you know what I'm saying. And
I
let me
think
go.
that is so helpful.
Yes, it is. So services, like when somebody comes in, depending on how many forms they have, is that how they're charged, or?
I don't actually base it that way. A lot of my clients are maybe not so much fortunate type with income levels and stuff. Of course, if I do a major corporation, they're a little more, you know what I'm saying, I'm more in debt, a little more. So I try to keep my fees kind of low, my overhead low too also.
Okay.
Which allows you to help people who may otherwise.
Yeah, so I don't feel like as though I'm milking them out
Right.
of something. I'm here to really try to help and serve you. Yes.
Because everybody deserves every dime back that they can reasonably get back.
And that's what I try to get from my clients.
But I just still, again, once I know that a lot of people don't understand how the tax thing goes, because like they'll bring their church forms in and they think that they're going to get, that's money that they're going to get back instead of it being a credit or like child care. They think that they're going to, if they pay $10,000 for child care, they think they're going to get $10,000 back, but they're going to get a credit off of that $10,000.
Right.
So we have to make that, mindful that, no, just because you spent that money, that does not mean you're going to get that in your return.
That's right.
So they'll think that somebody like yourself didn't do their taxes right.
Right, that's true.
Because John may get, $15,000 back on his taxes. Well, you might not get but $5. You know, so depending on, you know, tell us some of the variables that.
Well, I was going to say, I think it's important that what you just said. I don't want to get a bunch of money back.
You just don't want to owe.
I want to, right. I want to.
Unfortunately, people do owe. So
Yeah.
and some people I can't help. Some people just because they created a situation that's kind of like point of no return. And when I say not helping them, meaning that I maybe can't get you out of that situation for that particular year. We can put some things in place going forward, and if your tax situations are not that bad, we can do like an offer and compromise if it gets an enormous amount of money. So I do represent some of my clients in those areas. I talk to the IRS a whole lot of time. And about different tax-related issues.
That's good advice. That's really good advice. If you find yourself in a bind with your tax situation,
come see Ron. Come see Ron.
Right.
That's my slogan.
I love it. Come
at
see
Alpha
Ron.
Accounting and Tax Service, located
love
off 1830V, Suite B, McAllister Drive.
Can you give us that name again too?
Yes,
I'm sorry that I
please.
cut you off with the
Okay,
phone
you're
number,
fine.
but definitely give us that name again.
Alpha Accounting and Tax Service. It's in the front of the phone book on the website, web address. My personal email address is rmcclinton, lowercase, 21@yahoo.com. My phone number is 704-277-6100. So getting back to that form, and I want to explain how that charitable donation go. It'll be put on a Schedule A, which is itemized deduction forms, and what it does, once it lowers your tax liability if it exceeds a certain amount of your standard deduction.
Yes, and that's where all the medical and business expenses come in. But I can't believe our time is almost up, and you have really gave us some very awesome information today. Now, can you give us your email address one more time in case somebody wants to get into contact with
That's rmcclinton, lowercase, MCCLINTON, the number 21@yahoo.com, 704-277-6100. Easy number to remember. Jot it down. You will need it.
I like that sales pitch.
That's
Yeah,
good.
you did
That's
that. Well, thank you. And if we would like to invite you back to Life from Studio D.O.C., would you come and join us again?
Yes.
Good.
Thank you for joining
Thank
us,
you.
Ron.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome back to Life from Studio D.O.C. Thank you. I am the host, Dr. Honeycutt. And before our break, we had an awesome show with Ron, and I didn't tell you that we had two parts to the show, Lisa.
We've got two parts.
Yes, we got Miss Ellie McIntyre, and she's going to be talking about banking tonight. She's going to give you some great tips on how to get a small business loan and a lot of other things. So without further ado, how you doing?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
Glad you could come tonight.
Thank you.
So tell us just a little bit about who you are, and we're going to jump right in and
Okay.
get some good information.
Well, I'm Ellie McIntyre. I have been in banking for 35 years in Charlotte, and 25 of those years have been doing SBA lending. And I'm currently with a bank out of Marietta, Georgia, called First Landmark Bank. And my focus is on SBA lending in the Charlotte area under the Small Business Administration.
See, she's trying to be like humble.
know.
She didn't say, I mean, she's in banking, but
That's right. But she
but
is the person.
She the girl.
She is. She
Yes.
is it for people here in Charlotte that need small business loans.
Right.
And one of the things that I think is so important is what are the pitfalls? What should somebody avoid if let's just say they have an idea for a small business and they are just getting started and maybe they're going to need a loan someday. What kinds of things should they do to ultimately prepare to go to you as a banker? I mean, what kind of things are you looking for?
Well, in banking, we there's 5 C's of credit, and someone should consider all of those when they're looking for financing. And the first one of those 5 C's is the character. By starting out and having good credit, paying your bills on time, paying your Sears card, that really tells us a lot about you as a person. The other C's are capacity, the capacity to be able to pay back the loan based on what your projections are for your business. The others are collateral, what kind of collateral you can give. We also look at the conditions of the market and what is happening in Charlotte, and just not in Charlotte, but in the whole U.S. as a whole. And then the last C is that we have is the fact that you have the capital and to do this, which is the cash that you have. How much money can you put into that? So those are things that all bankers are looking for.
Okay, those are important.
Those are very important.
Starts with character,
Yes.
capacity, conditions, collateral, and cash. Capital. How much have you got? So I can see where sometimes the conditions might not be right. You've got a great idea, but either this isn't the right market for it, or
Right market or just the right time. Timing is everything. If you looked at 2007, 2008, there wasn't much going on as far as startup businesses.
Yes.
Now, if you look at it again today, the market's open again, and we're looking at startup businesses. So that's a little bit unusual.
It is. So so I want to come in today and talk about a small business loan with you. So what are some of the things that I'm going to have to do, when
Well,
I get there?
You need to have a business plan, and that's something that you can start out first. There's a great website, sba.gov, and it gives you the business plan that you can go by in order to have an idea of what needs to be presented to a bank. And that's a good tool to use later on when you've gotten a loan and you've been in business and you want to look back and see after a year whether or not is it working. Have you done what you said you were going to do? And
so it's SBA.gov.
SBA.gov.
And think about that as a great tool, even if somebody maybe doesn't quite yet need a loan. It's a framework to help them.
Exactly.
Definitely. Another thing I think you should always have in place is a good CPA, someone that can help you with your financials, also to do your projections for your business, and an attorney that can help you form your corporation or your LLC, someone that can give you some advice on the best direction.
So we need an accountant, a banker, and a lawyer.
Yes. So is there any particular lawyer that we would need? Or
Usually it's an attorney who can form corporations for you and give you the advice on starting a business. There comes back to a time when you'll look at maybe you need a real estate attorney because you want to buy real estate, but that's usually down the road after you've started your business.
Isn't she passionate about small business?
Yes,
how
she
did that
is.
come about? Tell me about, how did you get into banking in the first part, and what inspired you to, you're excited about helping small business people fulfill their dreams.
That's true. I started out in banking as a teller, and I went through a teller training program. And I had a mentor in banking who helped me get through different stages of banking and teach me everything that I needed to know. I had another mentor who finally said I could do commercial lending, and he told me, he said, I've got a loan for you. It's an SBA loan. And I asked him, what's SBA? I had no clue. He says, well, you'll figure it out. And so I did. And it was about 25 years ago when I did my very first SBA loan. And that client is today a client of mine still.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a testament to what
yes,
it
it
takes.
is. So share some strategies, about financial independence.
That's good.
The first thing I would recommend, if you're in a job right now where the company has a 401k plan, I would definitely invest in the 401k plan. And you would be amazed at how much $20 every pay period will build up over the years. And it's interesting to know that you may be able to use that money later on to retire, but it could also assist in purchasing a house if you want to withdraw for that. There's a lot of options there, but it's almost one of those things out of sight, out of mind, that you don't realize that it's going into the account, and it can build up over time. And that's really how I got to buy my very first home, was through my 401k plan, because all of a sudden I had enough equity in there to buy my house. And that's where financial independence, I think, starts.
Absolutely, financial. It's so important, because you really give, with financial independence comes freedom. Freedom to follow your dream and do what it is that you are really feeling intended to do. Tell us a couple of pitfalls, that maybe some things that people don't know about, mistakes that they can make on their, they might not think it's a big blemish on their character, for example, like you were talking about, or what's a reasonable, tell us, go a little further into what are some things that could be stumbling blocks that people might not realize.
Well, what we do, the first thing I ever do when I'm doing a loan request is I pull the credit report of the person who's going to be the owner, and I'll look to see how they've paid their mortgage loan and their small credit cards and things like that. If you're not going to pay those, then why would I think you'd pay me back for something that's not that important to you as far as your house? So those are the first things. That's a big stumbling block. Now, there are situations that we can overlook, and we've done that in the past. We will, consider maybe a divorce or a death in the family, things like that that have made you have to think differently. So those are things that
At
we'll
a
look
period
for.
where you had to adjust.
There's always periods. I mean, a lot of people had to adjust in the past economic crisis as far as what they had to do.
So pay things on time.
Pay things on time as much as you can. All the time is very good. We look at those scores very carefully. In fact, under the SBA program, when you're applying for a loan that's less than $350,000, that becomes a big part, because we credit score under that. So that's something that we'll look at very seriously.
Tell us about the scores. What is a good score and what is a low score?
I've gotten to see a lot of different ones. I will tell you, guidelines are usually around a Beacon score of 640. And up are good. That means that you've paid everything on time. What is not good is the 560s. Bankruptcies are tough. If you've had a bankruptcy but it's been over 7 years, we will discount that.
It's amazing how fast 7 years go.
And 7 years can go by fast. You'll find a lot of builders in this last economic crisis did have to file bankruptcy, and there's a reason for that.
Sure.
So you kind of look to see how they paid their bills then at that point.
Well, tell me a little bit about, you hear people say that don't check your credit score too often because that will affect it. Is that true? Or how often should people check their credit score, and does that affect it?
You can do it every 6 months, and you can do it on no charge basis. So I would definitely look at it every 6 months. I think it's very important. Now, when I pull a credit report for you as a person who's applying for a loan, then my credit score is going to be different because I'm the bank that's pulling it. When you pull it, it's going to show higher. When a mortgage company pulls it, they're going to see it maybe a little bit lower. So everybody gets different information pulled into that credit score.
So different people get different different information. So I even looked on mine recently, and it showed that I had a Macy's credit card. I don't have a Macy's credit card, I haven't had a balance on one in forever. So how does somebody go about correcting something that might be affecting their score that is either
there is an 800 number that you can call. When you have a credit score like that or something that you see that's on there, definitely call to get it reversed or counter that information. Have them look that up so that you have something in file that shows that you have questioned that. And then there are people out there that'll help you with your credit. And being in the business for so long, I've been able to meet those people, and they will take that information and they'll get it corrected for you.
Really?
And it does take a little time for it to start getting back up to a number that the banks will be willing to look at, but I think it's
But it can
worth
happen.
it.
There's
yes, it is worth it.
We have to take a question from the audience. Well, from one of our viewers.
I love it.
Ellie, they wanted to know, as a successful woman in business, what advice would you give to another professional woman?
I love it. The lady angle.
Oh, that's interesting. I would say definitely find someone in the organization that you feel comfortable with that will help you through getting through your career. And don't be afraid. I mean, women should be helping other women. We shouldn't be at each other as far as being afraid of that this person's going to take over my job. It shouldn't be that way. I think that you can help each individual achieve their dreams as far as achieving their goals in business. So I think that's
Get a
very
good
important.
mentor.
Get a good mentor. Well, can we go back just for a second to the scores? Where do you said check the scores every 6 months? Can you tell us where we need to check those scores?
Well, Credit Karma is now giving free credit reports, but annualcreditreport.com will give you a free credit report also. So you can go to each one of those every 6 months and you can get your free credit reports and you can see what those look like.
It's a lot of great information.
Yes, it is. Wow.
I know.
It's almost hard to.
I know. It's the 5
It's like,
C's.
ugh. Tell us what
The
they are.
5
You remember what
C's.
the 5 C's
I think
are?
I do. I think I do. Credit, character. No, I'm sorry. Character, credit, capacity, capital.
I remember the
What's the other one?
Collateral and
Collateral.
I remember capital.
Well, the point is,
important. And that's one of the things under the SBA program. This is what's so great about the SBA program is that people can get into having their own business or purchasing their own real estate with only 15% equity, the capital that you need to get into, where banks usually require 20 to 25%. The other thing about the SBA program is that it'll allow you to have a longer term than normally the banks will do. If you're purchasing a piece of equipment, the SBA program will let you go 10 years, where a lot of banks will only let you go 5 or 7 years. And you need that long term in order to assist with your cash flow. So those are things that you need to consider.
do you want our viewers to know how to get a hold of you?
Yes, it is emcintyre at firstlandmarkonline.com.
Terrific.
Got it.
E. McIntyre at firstlandmarkonline.com.
Online.com.
And you
And me.
finish it up.
Well, that is our show for tonight. We want to thank you for
Thank you
joining
so
us
much.
in our studios, Life from Studio D.O.C. Thank you, Lisa, for having
Thank
my
you.
back. And viewers, we want to thank you for joining us as well. Join us next time right here in our studios, Life from Studio D.O.C. Thank you.